not to be confused with Marie I, Countess of Auvergne. Marie of Berry, jure Duchess of Auvergne, Countess of Montpensier, was the daughter of John, Duke of Berry, and Joanna of Armagnac. She was married 3 times. She acted as administrator for her third husband John I, Duke of Bourbon, during his imprisonment in England after he was captured following the French defeat at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. Life, family and inheritance. Marie was born about the year 1375, the youngest daughter of John the Magnificent, Duke of Berry, and Joanna of Armagnac. Through her father, a great collector of antiquities, art patron and bibliophile, she was a granddaughter of King John II of France. She had 3 brothers, Charles, Louis, and John, and 1 older sister, Bourbon. The first of Marie's 3 marriages took place on the 29th of May 1386 in the Cathedral of Saint-Étienne at Bourges. Aged about 11, Marie married Louis III de Chatillon as her first husband. Marie's father gave her a dowry of 70,000 francs. He gave Louis, his son-in-law, the county of Demois. The marriage and trousseau had been arranged by the 2 fathers in 1384. A duke will dress her in bed and out of it, and a count will put the jewels on her. John, Duke of Berry, and Guy, Count de Blois-Chatillon, agreed. The festivities at the wedding de séjourn enfant are described in Jean Frosset's chronicles. There were no children from this marriage, and Louis died on the 15th of July 1391. On the 27th of January 1393 a marriage contract was drawn up for Marie and Philip of Artois, Count of Eu. They were married the next month at the Palais du Louvre in Paris. King Charles VI of France himself paid for the festivities, while her father gave her a dowry of 70,000 francs. Marie was now about 18, Philip was about 35, having been born in 1358. She was to bear him 2 sons and 2 daughters. The king appointed Philip constable in 1392. Philippe went on crusade and fought alongside his friend Jean Le Mainger, Marshal of France, at the disastrous Battle of Nicopolis on the 25th of September 1396. Both were captured, and Philippe died some months later in captivity at Mykolaizo, now called Myalgic, in western Turkey. After Philip's death into Saracenos, his body was brought back to Eu, his hometown, and Marie gave an endowment of £100 annually to the Collegial Church of Notre Dame Saint-Laurent for a Mass to be celebrated there on the 17th of June, each year in his memory. Their eldest son, Philippe, died on the 23rd of December in the same year and is also buried in Eu, jointly with her widowed sister-in-law, Jean of Thouars. Marie was appointed guardian of the 3 surviving children of her marriage with Philippe, Charles, Bon and Catherine. Aged about 3, Charles succeeded his father as Count of Eu. His revenues were held for him until he came of age by 3 trustees, Marie herself, her father, and her uncle Philip the Bold, Duke of Burgundy. Marie married her third husband John of Bourbon at the King's Palace in Paris on the 21st of June 1401. The contract had been signed at Paris on the 27th of May, 1400 after complex negotiations. She bore him 3 children. He was appointed her Chamberlain of France on the 18th of March 1408 and succeeded his father as Duke of Bourbon on the 19th of August 1410. Marie's father had persuaded King Charles VI not to fight at the Battle of Agincourt on the 25th of October 1415, but Marie's husband did fight, was captured, and spent the rest of his life in English captivity. Marie is believed to be depicted in 1 or possibly 2 full-page miniatures in the Très Riches du Duc de Berry, a lavishly illustrated manuscript made for her father in the years after after his sons' deaths. In the illustration for the month of April, the young noblemen and women in the foreground are grouped around a couple agreeing to be married. According to Patricia Sternemann, referencing St. Jean Boudin, the scene, although not painted until about 1410, depicts the engagement of Marie with John of Bourbon in 1401. Raymond Casals disputes this, arguing that the couple are Marie's niece Joanna of Armagnac and Charles, Duke of Orleans, who were to marry in 1411. A May Day celebration among nobles takes place in the foreground of the illustration for the month of May. Details appear to confirm that the House of Bourbon is represented. Both Casals and Sternemann believe that the woman seen in the foreground, riding on a white horse and wearing a large white headdress, is Marie on the occasion of her marriage on the 21st of June 1401. These scholars do not agree as to which of the accompanying men is John of Bourbon. The buildings in the background have been variously identified, but G. Papersham suggests that they are the Châtelet, Conciergerie and Tour de Horloge in Paris, and at the centre the Palais de la Cité where Marie's wedding took place. A manuscript made for Marie's own use and presented to her in 1406 survives today as BNFFR 926. It is a short collection of Christian devotional works, beginning with Bonaventure's Stimulus Amoris, translated into French by Simon de Courcy as the Traité de l'Esguillon d'amour divine. It includes a miniature of Marie and her daughter Bonne kneeling in prayer before the Virgin Mary. The manuscript is now in the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. Marie also selected approximately 40 manuscripts from among her father's collection on his death, as she was still owed the 70,000 franc dowry from her second marriage. All three of Marie's brothers were dead before 1400, which explains the complexity of the negotiations for her third marriage. She and her elder sister Bonne were to be heirs to John of Berry's titles, which required royal assent. John of Berry died on the 15th of June 1416. Marie was accordingly appointed Duchess of Auvergne and Countess of Montpensier on the 26th of April 1418. These titles were confirmed in 1425. On the 17th of January, 1421, her husband appointed her administrator of his estates as well. He died a prisoner in London in January 1434. Marie died in Lyon on an unknown date in June of the same year. She was buried at Souvigny Priory. Husbands and children: Louis III de Châtillon, Philip of Artois, Count of Eu, Philippe Charles of Artois, Count of Eu, Bonne, who married firstly Philip Count of Nevers, youngest son of Philip the Bold, Duke of Burgundy, and secondly Philip the Good, Duke of Burgundy. Catherine, who married John of Bourbon, Lord of Carency. John I, Duke of Bourbon, Charles I, Duke of Bourbon, Louis, Count of Fours, Louis I, Count of Montpensier. Ancestry.